Another day, another podcast. I'm Taylor Jackson. Today, this is kind of on the coattails of yesterday's episode, which was my advice to a 17-year-old photographer. And I thought that I would bring this episode back. I did this with Trey Cockrum a little while ago. And he is, I would say, the youngest and most successful wedding photographer that I've ever come across. When you're 16, it's really challenging to book wedding couples. And Trey managed to do this quite successfully. And he's now doing all kinds of different things. So if you're interested in him, type his name into Google and find out what he's up to, whether you want to follow him on Instagram or YouTube or wherever you might be. His Facebook group is called Seek the Light on Facebook. Obviously, that's why it's a Facebook group. So on to today's episode. So much for being on the podcast.
Dude, it's a freaking honor. I'm so pumped for this. Seriously. I've been stalking you online for a couple months, and here we are. It's come full circle for me.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's really interesting. I know that you've watched some of my stuff in the past. It's helped kind of
I have. Yeah,
inspire or whatever to get you to the place you're at.
It's
really cool.
It's inspiration, and it's also tactical. You know, it's like watching what's it? You put a camera. I actually started doing that on my YouTube channel. Just put a GoPro on my camera and just recorded a wedding, right? And that was like honestly one of the most helpful videos I've ever seen getting into wedding photography, because I just saw sort of how you thought and how you worked, and I was like, oh man, it's totally something I could do. I was like 15 and I saw that, or no, I was probably like 16, 15, 16. I was like, man, it's like totally something I could do. Like, I don't see why I can't be doing that right now. So I started, and it's going really, really well. And I think I picked up your Book More Weddings course. It included like the behind the scenes engagement session, and man, it's going killer. And I definitely give you a lot of the credit for that, for sure.
Well, appreciate it. I'm glad we connected in this
Dude, yeah,
online
really
world.
happy. Really happy.
So I guess let's go back a little bit. You've kind of been an entrepreneur like forever almost, even though you're still really young. I feel like you have a lot of experience.
Forever is like not that long for me, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I ran my own graphic design firm when I was about 11 or 12. I made bank with a buddy of mine, Max, online. We basically just reached out to, we both ran like video game YouTube channels, right? We're just gaming YouTube channels. And we would reach out to other gamer YouTube channels and say, hey, your graphics suck. Let us do them for you. And then they would pay us money to do their thumbnails and their banner and their profile icon and their intro and all these things. We would basically handle their branding. And so we ended up partnering with some video game channels that had like 100, 150,000 subscribers. And it was good money, you know? And so that turned into running my own channel, which turned into making videos about photography, because at some point I picked up a camera. It's probably 14. I just loved the idea of, you know, making memories for myself, you know? I mean, I come from a very like entrepreneurial family. We travel a lot, and we do a lot together. And my mom sort of got sick and tired of taking all the photos, so it's like, hey, I'll take some for you. And so we were like, where were we? We were like in Sedona, Arizona, and that's when I realized how much I just, dude, I just love the medium. You know, I love the self expression, and it sort of grew from there. I think I went to my mom at one point, and I was like, hey, I would love to be a wedding photographer. And no joke, at first she just laughed. She's like, bull crap. I'm like, no, I really think I could do this thing. And she's like, all right, fine. The first step is getting some clients, because, you know, we all think that way. It's like, you know, build a portfolio, get your name out there, make a website, make it happen. You know, if you want to make it happen, make it happen. And I spent about that moment, I booked that night like 5 months worth of free family gigs, which got my name out there. I didn't make a dime, but I got my name out there, and it turned into wedding gigs from there. A friend of our family, the Hasners, their mother Laurel, she's like my photography mentor, and now she second shoots for me, which is really cool. Yeah. But dude, it's been a wild ride. It's been incredible, and I, you know, for listeners tuning in, I really gotta hand Taylor some credit, man. He's the way that he, I don't know, man. There's something about the way that you teach. You've just got so much knowledge and experience, man. I love. It seems like every video that you put out, I learn something new. Really, really appreciate what you do, man, for this market. And now you got the Facebook group too. I've been browsing on there for a while. I was there when it was like at like 200 members. I was like, oh, dude, he's taking a new level now. But man,
it grew pretty quick.
Dude, it grew crazy quick. What are you at, like 6.7 thousand?
Somewhere around there now.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
See. I hope
your Facebook group's going well as
Oh,
well. Do you want to give a quick shout out to that and what that's all
for
about?
sure. Yeah, I didn't know if that was okay.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
no, whatever you want.
Okay. But yeah, I run a Facebook group for portrait, wedding, landscape, whatever hipster photographers seek the light, right? And we basically right now, I got a buddy of mine, Peter. He lives out in Washington. He's basically like the co-founder and owner of this group, and it's now like it's an official company. We got an LLC, all these things, and we basically just sell Lightroom presets. And we're gonna work on some courses soon, which is something that we really really want to do. Um, but right now, man, it's making me as much money as the wedding business is, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, it's awesome. So that group's got about it's coming up on 7,000 members in it. It's growing daily.
Very cool.
Something I really want to do is, dude, there's a huge market of like photographer YouTubers, right? Like they're just popping up like crazy. I'd be like, man, just partner with me. Send them to the group. We'll make a course with you. We can split the money with the course. Like these YouTubers, man, they're just killing it. Like they've got huge audiences. So that's sort of the future plan. We want Seek the Light to sort of be a staple in the hipster photographer industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so cool that I feel like I'm a little bit older than you, I guess, and I feel like that I don't have the connection to YouTubers because I know a lot of them are a lot younger.
Yeah.
And like some people, like I connect with, like I connected with you, but for the most part, like I don't think that I could sell to them, and I don't think that I could collaborate with them. But I feel like that's like something that's a huge benefit to being a little bit younger and kind of being on the same.
Well, dude, that's the thing is I grew up on YouTube. YouTube it has always been my platform, right? And so that's something that I'm trying to leverage to other business owners. It's like, hey, you gotta get on YouTube, man. So like you yourself, if there's any chance I could help you with what you're doing, man, I mean, not that you don't have a bigger audience than me already, but I just see so much potential for so much more over there, and I'd love to help you out. But that's another topic. I really feel like that. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But another thing, like with YouTubers, is like the beautiful thing about that platform, especially for photographers, is if you want it to be, okay, here's what I'm saying. You can make it appeal to literally any demographic in about 30 seconds. You can appeal to anyone because YouTube is the second most viewed website on the planet. And all you need to do is teach, and you've already beaten 80% of your competition on the site. All you need to do is share information. So like that's exactly what you've done, and I think you can credit it to some of the growth of the group and some of the growth of your personal business. All you did was get on there and say, here's how I'm doing what I'm doing. And just in just about a year, you know, it grew because people go to YouTube. Right now they go to YouTube to be entertained or to learn. It's one of the two. And if you can do both, then you're going to destroy your competition. Because these other people are just throwing out videos just for fun, and that's wonderful. I love that self-expression, but it's not going to grow. You know, and so as a photographer, it's so easy to hop onto that medium because it's a lot of the same techniques, you know, with lighting, and you need to get better with speech. But besides that, man, it's like when you're successful with something, when you know what you're talking about, get on YouTube and teach it. Guaranteed, within a year, you'll have an audience waiting for more from you. I think it's just a lovely thing. I really do.
I feel like the more that you teach, even if like education isn't your career goal, to just put what you do into writing and to just say it out loud, I think brings you to a whole new level of actually understanding why you do the things that you do when you're out on a shoot or things like that.
Absolutely.
So you're in Indianapolis or outside of Indianapolis?
Yeah, I'm just outside of Indianapolis. I've lived in Indiana my whole life. It's sort of like the state of corn. Like you drive 30 seconds west and you'll be in the middle of flipping nowhere with like tractors rolling by and like, but you drive 30 seconds. What did I say? West, north? I don't know what I said. The other direction. You'll be in the middle of like urban, like cityscape. It's the weirdest thing. So it's a great place to run a photography business because it's really, you got every type of wedding here. You got those like hipster outdoorsy weddings. You got those like high-end like classy weddings with a ballroom. You have some weddings that are like, you know, like the backyard weddings that are just really quaint. You know, you got a little bit of everything. And so, but the only thing is, Indiana, out of all the states, you look at some like big wedding posts online, and they'll tell you like Indiana's wedding industry just is horrible.
That's too bad.
It stinks, man. But
how's it different than like other big cities, even around you guys?
Well, see, the thing is, I think if I know right, what happens is everybody who wants to get married here who has money just goes to Chicago because Chicago's right there, you know? And so it basically takes all the clients who would have good money from here to either New York or Chicago. So this industry basically ends up being people that don't want to move for their wedding, and that typically means less money as well. But yeah, I'm not complaining. It's really no excuse. You can still kill it over here, and I know some people that really are. But if you want to, you know, drive a Corvette, you need to move to New York.
Yeah,
you know.
that's fair. I feel like one of the things that at least I guess you're also a little more central as well to like all those cities that if you wanted to start booking more short haul destination work, for lack of a better term, that is a possibility. Whereas where we're at in Toronto, it's actually really hard to when people look for photographers, they're not, somebody from Vancouver is not looking in Toronto. That all the markets are so separate. Whereas I feel like if you get published on some wedding blogs and stuff like that, that it's a lot more likely to kind of do that, you know?
That is true. You know, the Midwest, especially where I'm placed, you know, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, all the redneck states, they're all really close to big cities. So really, I totally agree with you. I have been throwing some Facebook ads at Chicago, New York, you know, places like that. Nashville is actually popping up pretty well in terms of the wedding business. Dude, they got like those like rooftop weddings where it's like,
yeah, every venue I've seen there is like amazing.
Dude, it's just gorgeous. And my grandparents live down there too, so they've referred me a couple of clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. And that's something else that I really enjoy about being at the stage that I'm at. I mean, I'm 17, you know, so I'm pretty young. But that gives me the leverage of my family supporting me, my friends supporting me. You know, I'm not some doof taking a risk out in the real world. I'm a kid trying to do something that he loves, you know, and I've got the support of people that love me in return. And I hate to sound like I'm capitalizing on that, but it's definitely a leverage point. You know, it's like I have my friends with me and I have my family with me. And the great thing about that is too, there's so many kids that want to be doing something more. They don't know what more is, you know, but I feel like I've taken in some people under my wing. Like I run a guys' night sort of thing every Thursday night. A bunch of guys come over and we have great conversation. These are all like entrepreneur thinker type of people, and to be able to pour into them in such a special way like that, it's incredible. And that's another thing about where we're positioned is so many people want to do this. If we can just begin to teach how to do it, you know, it's just. You get lifted up in such incredible ways. You really, really do. Just teaching online or teaching in public, even. It's just, and I think you've mastered that. Is what I'm getting at. You've done really good at that, and I think that's why you're where you are. Why you are where you are.
Yeah.
I said that right at the first time. I don't know. But.
I think so. But yeah, it's a lot of fun too. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about, have there been any challenges to being a young entrepreneur? Because I know that a few wedding photographers around here, even like 19, 20-year-old guys, are really struggling because brides almost like in some way don't trust such a young person. Do brides know how young you are when you're in that meeting?
They don't until we have our first in-person meeting. That's one thing. And when they do find out, they don't care because they already love me. And I hate to sound narcissistic, but they already like who I am. They already like the way that I present myself. It's not on my site. It's not really public anywhere except for personal social media profiles. So when people book me, you know, I've been told they thought I was 25, 26 before they even knew. And I love that because I don't think it matters at all. I'm pretty convinced it does. I mean, my first year of doing wedding photography, I couldn't even drive. I was taking Ubers to my wedding gigs, which I think is pretty sweet. But, not bad. I mean, hey, it gave me time to focus on other things. And honestly, now that I can drive, I might continue to take Ubers because I have the free time of being on my phone or getting something done in the back of the seat. But anyway, that's another topic. I think one of the things that really gets in the way when you're young is definitely that trust build. You know, because one of the first things that someone assumes about you, let me back it up a little bit. If somebody sees on my site that I'm 17 years old and doesn't see any of my work, they assume 1,000 things instantly. Now, if they see my work, they meet me in person, they see that I treat this like a business. I'm professional. This is one of my passions. This is one of the things that I've poured my heart and soul into. And they know that I will treat them well. And then they hear that I'm 17. They don't give a rip. You know,
I feel like it almost spins into a positive that they're like happy almost to tell people that like this guy is like this prodigy child, like so stoked we found him. And
dude, it does turn into that sometimes. There have been weddings. At my first couple of weddings, I like. This is when I learned to stop being so public about my age. The couple came to me and was like, "Hey, dude, we're gonna have to start to like, okay, I'm not even kidding. The bride's dad, the groom's dad, groom's sister, groom's brother, like a bunch of people kept coming up to me and saying, "Hey, word around the street is you're like 16." I'm like, "Yes, go back to the wedding." I had to like it was frustrating for me because I felt like I was taking away from the day as well. So I started to be really just really subtle about it. I don't think it needs to be said until they ask is another rule that I have. Like if they say, "Hey, you seem pretty young. How old are you?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm 17." And like it's just not the kind of question that you ask your wedding photographer anyway. Like I guarantee you, Taylor, like people don't come to you and like, "Taylor, you know what? I've been looking at your work, but there's one thing I got to know. How old are you, man?" Like nobody does that. So I don't think it should matter if you're 14 or if you're 57. It doesn't. Your skill is your skill. How you treat your clients is how you treat your clients. How you present yourself is how you present yourself. And age is, it's cliche, but it really is a number, and that's really all it is. And so it's just a wonderful leverage point. Really, is what it's turning into online, especially that I've been able to find success in an industry. And man, it's awesome. I couldn't be more grateful and thankful for it all. But yeah, biggest struggle is the trust. That's for sure.
Yeah. Luckily, so much comes online first that I know even when I started, I would say that people would see my website, but then it was almost 100% customary to meet in person before they even like started to make a decision. Mm-hmm. But now I feel like it's kind of the opposite where like maybe I'll have a phone call. A lot of the time it's just over email. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, the more that you can kind of put out there in the world, the more that people can just kind of trust you by just like researching and watching like YouTube and stuff like that and be like, okay, this guy's obviously credible. We trust him. Mm-hmm. One thing, I forget where I read it, but it was basically about how you kind of wanted to avoid ever getting a real job in life.
Oh, yeah.
And I 100% identify with that as well.
Awesome.
Do you want to talk a little bit about maybe kind of your mental process and how you kind of like visioned your life and just an office job just wasn't in it?
Well, and see, the thing is, if you can find me an office job that provides financial, spiritual, emotional, and physical freedom, then I'm all for it. But I haven't found one yet, and I can't find someone with one. So really my goal more than anything else, man, is to build something for the future in which I can thrive financially, emotionally, physically with my family, with my loved ones. And the goal isn't to, ride up in Beverly Hills with a nice car. The goal is to be free. The goal through entrepreneurship for me is freedom. It's not rebellion. It's not ego. It's freedom. And I feel like that's how the world's supposed to be. I feel like people are supposed to be able to take not just what they love, but what they can do and what they're good at and leverage that to bring value to people, to add to the economy, to add to other people's lives. And there's no shame in capitalizing on what you're good at. And I think that ultimately for me is freedom. It's no longer being scared of the next paycheck not coming. It's no longer being scared of bills. It's no longer being scared of things like, if I don't work hard enough, my family won't get X this month. And I hate the idea of one day having to go to my wife, go to my kids. And I'm thinking this far ahead right now. And I don't know if it's reasonable or not, but it's what I'm doing. I hate the idea of going to my wife and kids one day and saying, "Hey, look, I've been fired. I don't know what we're going to do. We're living on welfare, et cetera, et cetera." I want to know in my core that I'm a resource for others, and that I can provide abundantly for those whom I love. And that's the goal with entrepreneurship is not, it's not flashy lights and nice cars. It's building a real future, and I really think that that's the beauty of the model of entrepreneurship, of selling yourself and of creating something valuable for others, is that it provides ultimately great freedom. And I mean, my dad is definitely one of my biggest influences. He has helped people get their product on Amazon, basically is what he does, right? Like big brands, like coffee brands are wanting to get on Amazon. He shoots him an email, says, "Hey, look, I've been on Amazon for 15 years. Hit me up. I'll help you out, but I'll take 30% of sales." And that's all he's done for 30 years. And it has provided abundantly. And he didn't go to college for it. He didn't, not bashing college. College is great, but not he didn't go to college for it. He did horrible in high school. He grew up in a pretty rough home even, and here he is abundantly providing for myself, even my friends. Sometimes we step into my friends' lives and help them. It's just like that's the goal, you know, is to be a resource more than anything else. Is to be a resource. I'm getting pretty deep here, but that's really the goal,
yeah.
you know.
But yeah, it's incredible that you found kind of photography as the outlet to kind of create that. I guess you were a business guy that kind of found photography, fell in love with it, and I feel like all the stars just kind of aligned in that pathway.
They did, and that's I totally agree.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, I just wanted to comment something. Something that I have run into on occasion is, and it's probably a pride thing. I'm going to be 100% transparent about that. It's probably a pride thing, but people will come to me and be like, "Man, you're such a good photographer," and I'm like, "Wonderful, glad to hear it." But there's like 1,000 things that I'm doing, you know, and it feels like, oh man, I'm like a marketer, I'm like a community manager, I'm like a creative director, I have to worry about 1,000 things, and I'm glad you recognize that my photography is pretty good, but I'm hoping to one day take and leverage the fact that there's a lot more involved here and turn that into something big as well. I don't think photography is the end of it. I really don't. I'm not convinced that it is. It's taught me a lot, but I'm pretty ready to take it and move it on to something else.
Yeah, very cool. Maybe one other question that kind of came up when you were talking about college. What are your thoughts on college? This is just like personal curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely.
With so much being on YouTube,
I'm going to be a little, I don't know. I hope not to offend anybody is really what I'm trying to say. If you're going to college for something that you love, you're going to college for something that you love, and I respect that, right? But me personally, I am going to avoid college at all costs. I'd rather spend the 4 years out of high school networking, creating my business, spending that money on good things, investments, you know. My girlfriend's going to college. She's getting a graphic design degree, and I'm happy for her, you know. But I just see so much more opportunity for her at home if she just recognized the opportunity that's laid out in front of her. You know, with YouTube and Google, you can learn all these skills so quickly. It's beginning to make less and less sense to me. However, I would not let a heart surgeon that doesn't have a degree perform on my heart. That's one thing.
Learn it on YouTube.
yeah, dude, come on. Let me just crack up in your chest, man. I Googled it yesterday. Come on, it's easy. Let's go. Like, no. But this just practical skills these days, man. Like, oh my gosh, like, it's nuts. Everything is out there for everybody. It's accessible. We live in a generation of no excuses, you know? If you're not doing something for someone else or building a business or creating value, or I hate to sound harsh or even irrational, but it really does fall on you right now. You know, there's so much opportunity. But yeah, man, college, I don't see myself going to college. I really don't. I've actually been asked to speak at a couple high schools and potentially a college. I'd rather do that. And as well, the coolest thing, so I'm homeschooled, right? That's one thing about me that I haven't mentioned yet. And being homeschooled, homeschoolers have like co-ops, which I don't know if you know what a co-op is, but it's like a school that like the kids attend and the parents teach, so everyone adds to the community. I applied for a co-op when it's pretty sweet. And so it's like a nonprofit. Nobody benefits financially, but everyone benefits academically. It's really cool. And I applied to one called Seek here locally, and they denied me like a day later. And then a month later, they asked me, they sent me an email and said, "Hey, sorry about that. Could you come and speak for us?" I'm like, oh my word. So It's just like, oh my word, dude. It's crazy, man. It really does blow my mind sometimes how convinced people are that academics ties directly into financial success. I'm just not convinced. I'm really not. And I'm 17. I could be young and irrational, you know, and I'm probably totally wrong. Who knows? 10 years from now, I could be homeless. Yeah, good. but
I think you'll always find a way to have a home.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know, man. I think photography is a great, and I love what you're doing, right? You're taking people who want to be in wedding photography and just giving them the resources to do so. Not a camera, you know, not the skills, but you're showing them how you perform, and people learn from that so rapidly. And I give you so much credit for that. I really do.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Glad that all this worked out.
It worked out great.
What are some of the key points in your, maybe specifically your wedding photography business? Were there any kind of key moments that you learned something specific that really just like elevated you to the next level?
Absolutely. I gotta think about that for a sec. I think there were a couple. I gotta be okay. My biggest failures probably ended up being the ones that brought me to the next level. For example, like I was at a wedding. It was probably my third wedding, and I was such an idiot. I was given a shot list, right? And I was like, I don't need a shot list. I was like, I can do this. And I ended up missing half the shot list. And, obviously. And so I go to the client, I'm like, here's your photos, all proud of them. Like, I'm so excited for you guys to see these. You're going to love them. And half the photos that they wanted, they didn't have. And then I realized, man, I'm making this too much about myself. I need to be focusing on my clients 100% with my whole heart, right? And once I realized that the success in this, or in any industry really, success is to be other-oriented, to have a servant's heart, to just pour into your clients like crazy, then I realized, like, man, I got to be a servant if I want to succeed. So I started focusing on, like, how I can provide a couple free prints here and there and go the extra mile. And once I started just outperforming the expectations of my clients, that's when things really began to take off. And so I shot about 12 weddings last year, 14 this year, and I'm on track to shoot about 20 next year, which is pretty sweet.
That's so good.
It's so good. It's really, really good. And I think that failure was definitely one of my biggest ones, because I had to ask them, like, I had to beg them not to leave me a bad review because I missed half of what they wanted. And they're never going to get that back. And I admit full defeat there. That was stupid, and I've learned from it. And I think another turning point probably would be, man, I don't know if it's a specific point, but I found myself incredibly comfortable, or maybe around the 10th or 11th wedding. I was just like, man, I can do this. This is nothing, And once I got comfortable, I got creative. And once I got creative, my clients loved me way, way more. So if anyone's looking for tips on how to, like things that you can do to jumpstart your wedding photography business, I would say find a way to be more comfortable so that you can get more creative, because creativity dominates. Like, especially the couples that will pay well, they will pay very well for someone who won't give them photos that everyone else will give them. They want something that stands out, that they can hang on their wall with pride. And that's the goal of the industry that we're in, is to capture those memories and capture them not only well, but for a lot of people, they want that creativity. They want to be able to stand out on social media, really. And I love that. So the second you can get comfortable, start getting creative. That's something that I've always told a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, to switch gears a little bit.
For sure.
What books are you reading right now, or audiobooks or podcasts are you kind of hooked on?
Oh my gosh, I just spent like $300 on a bunch of books that I'm going to read my whole senior year. I'm not even kidding. But I finished Rework by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson. I don't know if you've read it before.
No, I haven't. It's on my Audible list of things, though.
Oh my gosh, have you bought it? Is it like, have you put the money in? Is it yours?
No, not yet. But
I will buy it for you, dude. You'll love this book. Dude,
I'll buy it right now.
Okay,
I'll go on Audible right now, and I'll buy it right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Rework is one of the books that I really recommend to anyone, no matter what industry you're in. It just breaks down the excuses, right? And it removes any presuppositions into getting into any industry. And it works wonderfully for wedding photographers, because a lot of people, they think that in order to be a wedding photographer, you need X, and you need this, and you need this, and you need this. Well, what you really need is experience. And this book really lays that out for you. And to get experience in the wedding industry, it means second shoot your tail end off. But in other industries, it might mean internships, or it might mean, getting on YouTube, or it might mean some side projects. But for wedding photography, it means second shooting. And so Rework really lays out a lot of reasons why people feel like they're not succeeding, and a lot of like deducing those reasons and telling you, hey, sorry to tell you, but you're actually in the wrong here. Here's why you could be succeeding. Very, very cool book. Let's see, what's another one?
All right, I bought it. I just bought it right now. I
For
was still
real?
listening, but also, yeah, I
Good. That's
clicked
totally,
through.
dude. No, I've been on Facebook a little bit here. I gotta admit. But let's see. Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson.
I
Wonderful
haven't even heard
book
of that one.
about, dude. Oh my gosh, another great book that you have to read. It basically talks about like shifts. The cheese in the book. It's gonna sound cheesy for a sec. No pun intended. But the cheese represents like happiness. It represents success. It represents your business doing well, right? And it basically lays out a story about two men who are in like a mice maze, and they keep finding cheese, or no, sorry, they keep looking for this cheese, but it keeps disappearing, and they don't realize what's happening as they're eating it, right?
Yeah.
And so what they need to do is train themselves to be prepared to move when that cheese is gone, and so that you can see how that applies to business already,
Yeah.
right? Once that opportunity is gone, you have to be ready to move on to the next one. So there's a visual analogy in the book. Rather than taking their running shoes off and hanging them on the wall, they tied the laces together and hung them around their neck, so that the second the cheese is gone, they're back in the maze looking for the next piece of cheese. It's just the coolest. It's just the coolest analogy. I loved it. Really, really loved it. I talked about chasing opportunity. Really, just a beautiful, beautiful visual for how a lot of business owners really should think. And then let's see, little pamphlet, My Philosophy for Successful Living by Jim Rohn. Another excuse killer. Lays out a bunch of things that people think they need to have in order to start a business, and a bunch of reasons why you don't need that, and you should just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are three books. It's been about a week. I read those. Man, I wish I could suggest some specifically wedding photography books, but I haven't read any specific wedding photography books ever.
There aren't a whole lot, I don't think.
There really aren't. You should write one. Oh wait, you have one.
I have. Well, that came out like I'm gonna say like 2008.
Yeah, dude,
so it's
rewrite
a little out
it.
of date
Rewrite
now.
it, man.
Yeah, I've
You
been
gotta
thinking
rewrite
about it.
that. You gotta do that.
It's just I think you like again like you get a different level of understanding about why you do things and what your triggers are and things like that once you
Yeah.
actually have to write things down.
Yeah.
And if you have to like say them out loud on a video and then you're writing it down, I feel like you just have a way better level of self-understanding.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
a
like going out
self-awareness.
every day or every weekend and shooting a wedding because you get
Yeah.
caught in that trap and
Yeah.
it feels like Groundhog Day sometimes, but
Oh
when
man,
you can keep progressing, I feel like it's a good
dude,
thing.
yeah. I have never read a wedding photography book, but if you rewrite the one you wrote in 2008, it will be the first one I read. Guaranteed.
send it to
You
you.
gotta write one. You got it. You have to.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Any last points that you want to leave the
Man.
audience listening with?
Last points. Shoot. Honestly, one of the things that I think every wedding photographer needs to understand, and I hit this a second ago, but you absolutely have to be other oriented. You cannot be selfish, at least towards your clients, and succeed in this industry. You have to be giving, generous. And if you're not, you can still find some success, but it won't be lasting. Build that reputation before you even dive in. That's something that I was horrible at. The first 5 or 6 clients, they hated me because I hated them because I just wanted their money. And I was like, and then I realized it finally clicked. Like, man, I need to be other oriented in this. And so, if anyone's wanting to succeed in wedding photography, you have to learn how what you're doing can abundantly provide for your clients and expect nothing in return when you do these things. And secondly, if there's anyone younger listening, I would have to just say to you personally that your age means crap. It doesn't mean anything. There are kids younger than us that are making bank, doing wonderful things for the world, and they fought through things that we'll never even understand or begin to understand to get there. So don't let your age hold you back. It means nothing, and it never will mean anything. Even if you're 82, there's people who are 82 who are killing it. They're guaranteed. Give me 30 seconds on Google. I'll find someone who came from a worse spot than you and is doing better than both of us. I hate to sound like Gary Vaynerchuk right now, but like, dude, excuses are so crap. I just get so tired of it. But yeah, man, those are the 2 things that I want to say. Be other oriented and stop making excuses.
Amazing. I think we will leave it at that then.
Sweet
Thank
dog.
you so much for joining me.
Dude, thank you for having me. It's been a real honor. It really has been.
All right. Thank you for listening today. If you're interested in any of the courses that we talked about, they're over at taylorjacksoncourses.com. The Book More Weddings course specifically is now called Advanced Wedding Photography, and there will be a new Book More Weddings course will be coming out next Thursday. So I guess almost this Thursday now. So excited for that. Excited to bring you all of this new content. Basically how it's going to work is I'm going to release it now, and then I'm going to close up sales after Cyber Monday for a little while. So wait for that announcement a little bit closer to Thursday. And I will see you tomorrow on the podcast. Thanks for listening.